Hey, this is Teddy Burriss, your LinkedIn strategist, consultant, and trainer again. And this is part 4 of your settings and privacy on LinkedIn. It's a lot of components built into this that you need to understand in order to A, make sure you're getting the greatest value out of LinkedIn, and B, make sure that that your content, your information, your activity is not being used within the privacy settings but beyond what you want. So let's talk about the data privacy section of your LinkedIn settings and privacy. So the first part of the data privacy section is how LinkedIn uses your data. Manage your data and activity. You need to look at, this is your activities, which by the way, this is how you find out when you join LinkedIn. So you go all the way to the last page and you'll see that I joined LinkedIn and with this profile in August 14th, 2008. I made a huge mistake. I joined LinkedIn in 2004 and I lost my email account and I couldn't get back in. Back in those days, it was way too difficult. It's way easier now. But anyway, you can see I built this profile in 2008. So you want to look at managing your data. You know, there's nothing really huge here, but you do want to go look at it. You have the ability to see what kind of activity, high-level activities you've had on LinkedIn through manage your data and activity. The next section is get a copy of your data. This is the download part where you can download all of these areas: articles, contacts, invitations, imported contacts, invitations, etc., etc. You can download the whole, what I refer to as kit and caboodle, by doing download larger data, which includes everything. Or you can just go look for the specific pieces that most people look for. Most people look for connections. They want to download their connections, mainly because they think the email addresses are in there, but they are no longer in there. They also sometimes want to download their messages, their profile. But you can choose which pieces you want, or do you want the whole thing, and you can request an archive. If you do the whole data archive, it might come in 2 pieces. The first piece being the simplest content, and the second piece being the rest of the content. I will offer to you that when you download your LinkedIn data, it says it will download your rich media. That does not work as well. There's a huge bug with that. It does not download your rich media well. This is the media you put in your featured section and media in your content. But for the most part, what most of us are looking for, it works well. The next piece is salary data on LinkedIn. So if you've submitted any salary data through the jobs section of LinkedIn, then it will show up here and you have the ability to manage that. I've decided that, A, I'm not looking for a job, and so I have not had a need or even an interest in updating my salary data. Now, don't misunderstand me. I think the salary data is very useful for people who are in job search. So if you have the ability to upload your salary data, which is anonymized, then it could very well be useful to other people, specifically those who are in job search. The next piece is your search history. It doesn't show you your search history. You can see that when, at least the last 10 things you've searched for in LinkedIn when you click in the in the search box. But you can clear your search history, say okay, or say clear, and your search history is cleared. Personal demographic information. This is where you have the ability to tell LinkedIn your gender, as well as your race or ethnicity, your disability level, your veteran level, and LinkedIn has the permission to use that content in aggregated data so that they can measure and do research. You have the ability to add that if you want. Again, I chose not to. The next segment in data privacy is social, economic, and workplace research. Now, I'm all about helping people understand people. for the most part. So social, economic, and workplace research. I read this. We can enable trusted third party to use that data to understand what people are doing. Now, I'm not giving them a lot of social or even economic information about me, but they can parse out the workplace information about me. So I decided to leave that on. Again, I want LinkedIn to get value from the application as long as it doesn't violate my principles or thoughts or ideas. The next section under data privacy is the job seeking preferences. Here's where you have the ability to change the following. Job application settings is going to open up in another window. So let me open up that up in a new tab. So the job application settings is where you can manage your resumes and answers to interview questions or application questions. As well as you can manage your resumes, you can upload a resume, and you can manage your self-ID information. I don't have any of that out there, so I'm not worried about managing resumes or uploading resumes or my self-ID information. I have never changed that, primarily because I want to pay attention to it, and additionally because I have no information up there that I'm worried about privacy on. The next piece is is sharing your profile when you click apply. So if you're applying for a job, do you want to include a link to your LinkedIn profile when you apply? I don't use this, but I will tell you that if you built out your LinkedIn profile correctly, that including that in when you apply for a job would be beneficial. So I recommend job seekers leave that on. Again, as long as your LinkedIn profile is written well, telling your target audience who you are and what you do/want to do. Commute preferences is going to again take you to another window. I'll open that up in another tab. So commute preferences is useful when you're applying for a job that's in a different city or region or whatever. LinkedIn will calculate, in this case, driving or walking distance so that it can let you know what your commute's going to be. It'll let you know if you tell it you're interested in a specific time frame of commuting or less, that it'll let you know that. And if you're willing to start at 7 a.m. and it sees that job starts at 7 a.m., it might let you know you might not be able to do that job unless you change your commute time to earlier. It's an interesting model for showing commute activity related to jobs you apply for. Again, I haven't applied for any specific jobs, so it's not really something that's relevant to me, but it may be useful to you if you're applying for jobs. So signaling your interest to recruiters where you've created job alerts is really interesting. If you turn that on, there are recruiters who have in their application, let me know who has a job alert for my company. So if they have that notice turned on and you have a job alert turned on for their company, then LinkedIn may match your LinkedIn profile to those recruiters at those companies and let them know that you're interested in jobs. Again, useful if you're very purposeful at job search and you want recruiters there to know that you're paying attention to their companies. So the stored job applicant accounts. This is if you applied for a job through LinkedIn and that data went to a third-party applicant system or applicant tracking system. You have the ability to remove that stored content from LinkedIn, but once it's been sent to that applicant tracking system outside of LinkedIn, you can no longer remove it. However, if you have those matched up with those third-party job applications or applicant systems, you can remove those stored accounts so that they no longer transfer your data forward. Again, that's only relevant to job seekers. Under data privacy, we also have permitted services. So you have the ability to connect your LinkedIn profile to other systems. I have my LinkedIn profile connected to Hootsuite. I have it connected to Meeting Machine and to Restream. Those are the three systems or applications that I have my LinkedIn profile connected to. I use Restream regularly. I'm experimenting with Meeting Machine, and I use Hootsuite every day. So those are important for me. If you noticed another application that was on here that you didn't want to be connected to, then the wise thing to do would be to immediately remove that connection. And the last part of data privacy is Microsoft Word. This is where you indicate that you will allow Microsoft Word to take your work history and description and information and pull it into what they call their resume assistant. I'm not looking for a job, so I don't need my LinkedIn profile pulled into a resume by anyone. So I've turned that off. It may be useful to you if you're in job search, but again, only if you built your LinkedIn profile so it very clearly says who you are, what you do, or what you want to do. So let's move to the last section, advertising data. Now, it's really important to understand this because LinkedIn's system is going to advertise to you whether you like it or not. Matter of fact, I think every 7th or 8th posting in your newsfeed will be an ad. So in the profile data for personalizing ads, I said I don't really need my profile picture and or my name or company associated with ads. I don't need to give those using ads that kind of additional power. Interest categories are really interesting. This is where LinkedIn will decide based on your profile and your actions, your content, the people you've connected to, the companies you follow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They will better focus the ads that you receive based on your interest categories. And I left that off. It's really not something that's really important to me, so I just left that off. You may want to turn it on, and that would, in fact, make the ads at least a little bit more relevant to you based on, again, your profile, the activity you do, et cetera, et cetera. The next section of advertising data is data collected on LinkedIn. Connections is the first piece. Can we use information from your first degree to connections to show me more ads? I'm like, why? I've got a very diverse LinkedIn network across all areas of my life: business, career, community, civic activity, friends and family, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't need them to use my first degree network connections to decide what kind of ads to give me. I also, you'll notice I'm very stringent on the ad activity. I don't need LinkedIn to use my postal code or my address for ads. Maybe I should turn it on. Let me turn it on so it makes any difference. But originally I thought it wasn't something that was really important to me, so I turned it off. But let me see what change I get in my ads moving forward. I really like the demographics feature because it says they want to use information such as age or gender that I provided or inferred from my LinkedIn profile. I like that. That's pretty blunt. What that means is they're going to calculate how old I am based on the year I went to college or how many years I've worked or some of all of that. And so that's just an interesting way for them to be able to say they're going to figure it out and be able to give me more age or gender relevant ads. I left that on. I was okay with that because I never gave them my age or gender, but they can infer it from my profile. Again, all of these features we're adjusting here are not going to change the number of ads you get. It's only going to have impact on the relevance of the ads you get. So another feature is companies you follow. And so I decided I don't need LinkedIn to do the ads based on the companies I follow, so I turned that off. Same thing with groups I'm in. I don't need LinkedIn to look at what groups I'm in and decide what kind of ads I get, so I turned that off. Education. So I decided I'd go ahead and let LinkedIn do ads based on my education at University of Maryland, business, and used my skills and my last year of graduation, which I kind of think that's inferring my age. So I left that all on. Again, I didn't really pay a lot of attention to this, but there's nothing wrong with this for me. The next part of advertising data is job information. It should LinkedIn look at my current jobs and my past jobs to figure out what kind of jobs it should put in my newsfeed. I said, you know what? Why not? I'll leave it on. It doesn't make a lot of difference to me. But you want to understand what it can or can't do. The next piece is employer. Do I want to get relevant ads such as job ads based on who I work for, which happens to be my company, or who I last worked for, which happens to be the Bud Group and another company called Outsource IT. And I was okay with that. Again, it kind of made it a little bit more relevant, but you need to understand this. If you work for a company that's totally irrelevant to you now, you probably would uncheck that box. So the last big piece of advertising data is third-party data. And I was really blunt about this. I turned it all off. I don't want LinkedIn taking my information, anonymizing it for third-party websites that I visit. Listen, that I visit. I don't need that type of pass-through information. I don't want LinkedIn to be able to impact ads that I see outside of LinkedIn from websites and other apps. So I turned that off. Same thing with interactions with businesses. I don't want LinkedIn to use my interaction with businesses on LinkedIn or outside of LinkedIn to influence my ads. I really have tried to squeeze down what they have the ability to do with their ads. And I understand that ads are how LinkedIn makes money, but I fortunately have the ability to manage this privacy. And the last option under advertising data is ad-related actions. This is where LinkedIn decides what kind of data to provide, aggregated information do they provide to advertisers based on what I engage on. So if I touch an ad, engage on an ad, comment on an ad, like an ad, et cetera, they could use that data to pass it over to their advertisers and say, people like Teddy, they may not say Teddy, they'll say people like Teddy do this, have these kinds of activities on ads. LinkedIn settings and privacy, just like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, Quora, Snapchat, WeChat, Tinder, et cetera, you should really understand the settings and privacies before you get serious about using those tools. And furthermore, you should go look at them periodically to make sure that you see the changes, because the changes may be things that you want to adjust based on the defaults. I created this series of 4 videos to help you understand the LinkedIn settings and privacies. Why? Because I think it's important that you manage your settings and your privacy to get the greatest value from LinkedIn and to manage your privacy the best you can. Before you go, let me share with you a new program I put together, and this is a webinar series. It's 2 group webinars with bonuses. And these are really focused on business professionals who want to quickly get into some of the best practices, tactics, and philosophies of using LinkedIn, purposely focused on their business goals. So I put this together where the first session is all about helping you get focused on your target audience and their influencers, and help you get focused on the right words you need to use so you can build out the most professional LinkedIn profile that you can. And the second session, which is a group session, is we talk about the best practices and tactics of networking on LinkedIn. We get into conversations about social conversations and social sharing. And we also touch on the importance of social listening using Sales Navigator and on LinkedIn. Now, everyone who shows up and registers for this webinar series will also get all 4 of the ebooks that I've produced for my corporate accounts. But furthermore, I'm also providing another bonus, and that is everyone who signs up for this will also get 1 hour of personal one-on-one coaching. That's where we spin out of the group setting and I talk with you deliberately focused on your needs and your goals and helping you overcome your challenges using LinkedIn as a business tool. I put this together for business professionals who don't have enough time to do my bigger programs and they want to really start mastering using LinkedIn as a business tool today. So this is across 2 weeks at the most, a day a week. I'm going to give you a lot of value, going to give you a lot of resources and help you master using LinkedIn so that you can grow your business, so you can grow your book of business, so you can grow your pipeline and start getting real value out of the use of LinkedIn as a business tool. So check it out. Feel free to send me any message, ask me any questions about the program. I'd be glad to help you understand what I'm trying to do to help you. And I look forward to you showing up to one of these webinar series that we do. Thank you.